My first, my first musical memory was my mother playing a big band record. I was about a year and a half. I was maybe like 18 months, it really was. And this was given to her by some of the GIs that would come by during the war years that we were talking about before. And it was the big bands. It was a big band of I'm trying to remember, like Tommy Dorsey and Jimmy Dorsey and Glenn Miller, all those big bands of those days. And I heard this orchestra, and I heard the harmonics and the sounds of the horns and all that. And I fell in love with that, over and above ukuleles and guitars and that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. That was my first thrill, as far as what I like about music. I always liked singing. From the time I was a teenager, I got in trouble singing in a bus. I used to sing in a bus going to school. And I remember singing to a girl. Her name was Geraldine Phillips. It's funny how you can remember things like that, and I can't remember yesterday. But her name was Geraldine Phillips. I wrote I Love You on the transfer, and I sang to her. And she told her mother about this nice, cute boy who was singing to her and wrote I Love You. The mother took it to the brothers at St. Louis, the Catholic school that I went to, and they showed me the transfer with me writing I Love You to a girl, and they kept me after school for 2 weeks, and I couldn't figure out what was wrong with saying I love you. So that was my first conflict with music, thinking that the people that don't like music, there's something wrong with them. Not the music, but the people who don't like it. Probably in high school, we did like junior jamborees, things like that. And I enjoyed that. It was fun. Like little playlets and cabaret shows. That was like I was 15 or 16. Mm-hmm. But my first major contact with moving into the big time or toward that was a girlfriend that I used to go with in college, San Francisco State. I went to San Francisco State on a football scholarship, and I used to sing with her at her home, things like that. We were going out together, and she said, "Why don't you sing with me at one of these rallies?" And I said, "Okay." That didn't bother me. And at the rally was herself. Her name was Ann Richards. She was quite famous after a while. Johnny Mathis, people like that were at these rallies. And I sang, and the people applauded and liked it. And I said, I like that. That's for me. That's for me. That's better than getting tackled and getting beat up on a football field, So that was the beginning. I was like 18, 19. Funny story. I went and auditioned for a big band that came into Oakland, California. And it was an all-black big band, but one of the most famous in the world. The band was called Illinois Jacquet. And I won the contest, singing contest, and I went up there and with my two Irish buddies. And I said, "Now, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to introduce to you the winner of our singing contest in the Oakland Tribune, Mr. Sandy Mitchell." And so I'm looking at my buddies over there, right? And I said, "Wow, man, I thought I won, And the guy comes over and said, "Say, man, that's you. I can't remember your name." I love it, but that's what he said. "I can't remember your name." So after that, my two buddies, from then on, they called me Sandy Mitchell. I look like a Sandy Mitchell, right? So that was one of my first experiences. But, I was 18, 19, and the world was my big apple pie. And I just went out and sang and sang and sang until people hired me. I just never gave up. And that's exactly really what happened. I would go to clubs and somebody hired me. I would send notes up and saying, "My name is Jimmy Borges, and I'm looking for a band to take with me on the road." Instead of asking to sing, I would say, "I'm looking for a band." Then the guys would say, "Hey man, there's this cat out there. This cat out there is looking for a band to take with him on the road. Maybe we can make some money." So that's a common. So instead of asking them, they would ask me. They said, "Say, Mr. Borges, would you like to sing a song or I says, sure. Instead I'm dying, right? So I get up there and sing. Sometimes they hired me, sometimes not, But that's how I got started. I took lessons after I'd been a professional for about 5 years. Because I was ruining my voice. I was doing 3 shows a night in Las Vegas. And my major problem were the women. I was always dealing with the girls on the Folies Bergère and Lido di Paris and all these different shows in Las Vegas. And the ratio there was like one guy and 40 women. Half the guys were gay, so that's it's 80 to 1. So there's a lot of women involved, and that's what I was doing. And I didn't pay much attention to my singing, and I was hurting my voice. And I finally was crying to my musical conductor. Says, "I'm hurting over here." He says, "Well, it's about time you start paying attention to singing and not screwing." I said, but no buts about it. Start taking some lessons and all that, and that's what happened. Yeah. So I started to clean up my act, But I was still a kid. I was still in my 20s. So I worked there. It was the world's greatest Chinese nightclub. And everybody there was everything but Chinese. Because Chinese didn't want their children to be entertainers. They wanted them to be dentists, doctors, lawyers, not singers and dancers. So the people that came up there and auditioned were Hawaiians, Filipinos, Mexicans, everything that they could make up, put some makeup on and make them look Chinese. And I went there. My name's Jimmy Borges. They liked me, so I had to change my name to Jimmy, to a Chinese name. I said, no Wong Chong Fong. That's nothing. So there's an unusual Chinese name called Jay, J-A-Y. So I became Jimmy J. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Jimmy J. That sounds so phony. It was such a phony sounding, but it fit the times. The kind of music I was doing then was the pop music of Broadway. I'm gonna live till I die. I'm gonna laugh till I cry. I'm gonna take this town and turn it upside down. Stuff like that. I would do Broadway kind of tunes. And Fever. Never know how much I love you. I remember this lady, kind of chubby lady. She was from someplace in the Midwest. And then we had a lot of tourists that came in. I mean, like 95%. So she came in, and I'm all made up, and I got this makeup on that, and I kind of looked like, they made me look like a Chinese Tony Curtis. That kind of look. The hair's all slicked back, So I'm walking down there, and I'm strutting down there. Never know how much I love you. Doing this kind of stuff. And this lady's just staring at me. She couldn't believe it. This little chubby lady, she's staring at me. And her husband's right here. She's just staring, looking. She's, "Oh, Charlie, he sings just like a white man." I loved it. I heard her say it. And I just started laughing. I couldn't stop laughing. Because she meant it in a nice way, right? But that was her only way that she knew how to compliment me. He sounds just like a white man. So that's going to be the title of my book. Oh, Charlie, he sounds just like a white man. So those are the stories of Forbidden City. Shirley MacLaine saw me there and took me to Las Vegas to work for her husband. Her husband produced the show there. And I was a perfect look, and I could speak English well and sing. And they got me, and they liked me so much that the guy who was there before me, they didn't renew his contract. And they kept me there, which I didn't know. I didn't know all that was happening. But, so that was the beginning, and after that went to New York. And my first wife, I was married to a Japanese girl from Japan. So lovely, and good person. She was gorgeous, and she used to date Frank Sinatra. And she spoke perfect English, so she spoke English and Japanese, and so she got me out of a lot of trouble with the girls because I was trying to get everybody to go out with me, and eventually they looked at me and they called me, quote unquote, Chocho-san, which is a butterfly. I was a butterfly, you know. I was the original Monsieur Butterfly. And so they wouldn't go out with me anymore. And so my wife felt sorry for me, and we became buddies and friends, and at that time she was going with Frank Sinatra and all that. So we met, but I didn't really get to know him until the 90s. And so, when he did favors for me. And I was the only one. He gave complete access to any arrangement I wanted, you know. And that's amazing. I have some right here in the house right now, and I probably have about $750,000 worth of arrangements right here, just sitting there. You know, there's like 60 arrangements, and they're at least $10,000 each. You know what they had? He had a house. He had a cottage. The cottage he had files and files of songs, like Night and Day, the Cole Porter tune. He had like 12 different recordings of it. 12 different arrangements of different years that Mr. Sinatra had recorded these. So I had to know what year I wanted, what recording, ballad, swing, who was the band behind it. So I had to come in, I had to have my homework done when I was doing that. So. Oh, the first time you heard me was in Las Vegas. That's when I first went there with Shirley MacLaine. Took me to Las Vegas to work for her husband. And she invited, at that time the Rat Pack was just forming. And she was part of the Rat Pack. They had women in the Rat Pack. Lauren Bacall was one of the women. You know. So, and Humphrey Bogart. It's actually, he was the original one. But the Rat Pack was just starting. This is like 1959, 60, 61. When I first went there, it was 59. So, my opening night, she had in the audience, front row center, was Frank Sinatra, Sammy Davis Jr., Dean Martin, Nat King Cole, Joey Bishop, all these big stars.
No pressure though.
No pressure at all. So I'm looking out from the side of the curtain. I'm looking out the side of the curtain. I'm going. So I get out there, you know, say a few prayers, get out there and start singing, and my mouth is so dry that I had no saliva, and my lips like that. They were stuck. They were stuck to my teeth, right? So they're stuck to my teeth. So after the show, she comes backstage and I said, how'd the show go? She said, you were great. They loved you. The guys all loved you. They thought you were fantastic. you know what they talked about? I said, no, no. Just, they talked about, not only did they like your voice, but they loved that smile of yours. They said you had the greatest smile. I said, Shirley, that wasn't a smile. That was my lips. They were stuck to my gums because I had no saliva. And she laughed and laughed. It was so funny. But it was pure fear. Because to have the biggest stars in the world right there, you know, and you know they're checking you out. So.
Yeah, competition.
Yeah. So it was very funny. The thing that Sinatra taught me and every other singer after him was how to tell a story, which is the most important part of singing. Mm-hmm. And once I learned that, that was the beginning and the key to my success for 60 years. I've been doing this for 60 years, and it's gotten more successful as time's gone by. But telling the story, he taught Tony Bennett, Jack Jones, Vic Damone, Sammy Davis, all these other people how to do that. So, can I use the language?
Yes,
So I'm invited. I'm invited to this party about 2 months after I'm in Las Vegas. And the guys used to get together. The guys meaning the Rat Pack guys. Sammy and Frank. I don't call him Frank. Sammy, Mr. Sinatra, Vic Damone, Nat Cole, on and on and on. And they would get together and party. And the girls would come over from the different hotels and all that. And they toast the girls, they toast this and switch partners. I mean, it was one of those, it was Las Vegas. It was a Rat Pack. And so they invited me to one of them. And at that time, being single and all that, says, yeah, yes. So I went there. The guys were all singing. They all got through singing. And they asked me to sing. I was scared as shitless. Again. I said, my God, you know, I got to follow these guys. What am I going to do? So I picked I can't remember the tune. It must be, you know, psychological. It was a Cole Porter tune. And I took the tune, and instead of singing it, I did something I never do. I started to scat. I started going, shadoo-ba-doo-da-doo-ba-doo-bam, shoo-ba-doo-ba-ba-bam, shoo-ba-doo-bee-dee, shadoo-ba-doo-da-doo-ba-doo-dee-dow, and stuff like that, really dumb. So Sammy Davis stands up, all 5'4" of him. He stands up and is staring at me, hands on his hip, and says, Borges, sing the fucking song! I go, Jesus, I put my hand on it. I'm ready to cry. I said, I really fucked up. Borges, sing the fucking song! So I get through, I come back down, and he comes up to me, puts his arm around me, he looks up to me like this, and he says, look, if you weren't a good singer, I wouldn't have said nothing. But you're a good singer. Cole Porter. Okay, he's a genius. And I said, yes, sir. Are you a genius? I said, no, sir. Then why the fuck are you doing that to a genius? That was terrible. You were terrible. And I said, yes, sir. All I could say was, yes, sir. And then all the guys were looking, and they were all feeling really bad for me. Frank Sinatra and Nat Cole. They were feeling bad because he was yelling at me. You know. And after he got through yelling at me, he says, don't ever do that again. You know, you want to stay in this business a long time? Don't ever do that again. Respect the songwriter. Respect him. That's an important man. That's Cole Porter. He's a genius. You're not. So Mr. Sinatra comes over and says, just makes me sure. That's when he started talking about, you know, get into the story of the song. Get into the story. And Nat Cole would say, yeah, Jimmy, get laid back. It's laid back, you know. You don't have to be right on top of the beat. Lay back. So the guys were nice. But that was an important lesson in my life. Major lesson for me to learn. How dare I take something and lessen it because I didn't know what to do. But sing the fucking song. I'll never forget those words. I miss that man. I loved him. Loved him. What a great talent. I want to be a singer who tells a story and pays attention to the music and respects the songwriter and all that. Then you're on the right track. But sing your song. I said, take a song, and before you sing it, read it as a poem. Read it as a story. What does that story say to you? In the still of the night, as I gaze from my window at the moon in its flight, my thoughts all stray to you. In the still of the night, while the world is in splendor, or the times without wonder, darling, when I think of you, do you love me as I love you? But these are all different words. Now, what does it mean to you? In the still of the night, as I gaze from my window at the moon in its flight, my thoughts all stray to you. That's what it means to me. What does it mean to you? The same thing. So you find out what it means to you, then you sing it. Study. I studied late, but it did protect my voice overall over a longer period of time. I have a light voice, and it needed protection because I started fooling around with rock and roll and different kind of things, and it takes its toll on the voice. And I had to undo that. I even went through an operation on nodules back in the early 70s. But that was before before I had taken lessons, my lessons, and it showed me, I saw pictures of my vocal cords were terrible. They had nodules and right at the bottom end of it, and they were banging each other.
So it's painful.
Not so much painful as it was a sound. I sounded like Rod Stewart. It's okay if you want to sound like Rod Stewart, but I wanted to sound like Jimmy Borges, and I wanted to be more mellifluous, and I wanted to sound prettier. When I sang pretty love songs, I wanted it to be pretty and tell the story, but I wanted it to be pretty. I didn't want the other sound. Nothing wrong with the other sound if that's your thing. That's just wasn't mine.